Hello, I'm Nicole with morningchores.com, and today we are going to demonstrate cold weather clothing for outdoor chores. If you live in a cold climate or a place that has a winter season, then it is vitally important you wear the appropriate clothing when doing things outside. In today's video, I'm going to share some of my favorite clothing options for cold weather and tackling those outdoor chores. The base layer is probably one of the most important elements of your cold weather clothing, and this is because it has direct contact with the skin, so it's very important that you choose something breathable yet warm. One of my favorite brands is called Booty. They make their products from bamboo, which is a natural fiber, so it allows your skin to breathe, yet it provides extra warmth. Socks are a vital part of your clothing. It is very important that you protect your feet. If you've taken any kind of survival class or watched a survival video, this is one of the things that they stress, is that you take good care of your feet and your hands. But in regards to your feet, it's important that you choose socks that are warm, yet they wick away moisture. My favorite are wool socks. I like to wear wool socks when it's cold because, again, it wicks away moisture. It's breathable because it's a natural fiber, yet it keeps your feet super warm. Another key factor to consider when it comes to socks is make sure that you choose socks that aren't too thick, but also not too thin. You want a happy medium. If your socks are too thick, it will create some discomfort in your boots, and if they're too thin, then they will not keep your feet warm enough. My first and top choice is a thing called coveralls. This is something that I just discovered and I love them. I love to wear them for several reasons. One, they do keep me super warm. I also love them because they're not super thick or poofy, so I can move around very easily. They allow me to be flexible and be able to move and change positions, which is, when you're doing outdoor chores, you're usually getting in some awkward positions, so it helps to wear flexible clothing. I also love these because they keep things tidy and tucked in, so you don't have clothing dragging on the ground, getting wet and muddy and dirty, and you also don't have clothing hanging off of you, which could snag on something. My coveralls are semi-waterproof, so they will keep the water off of me for a good long while. Now, if I fell into a lake, probably not so much, but they do keep the moisture away from my body, which is really important when you're working outside in cold temperatures. Another great feature is they have pockets and they have all kinds of buttons and snaps so that you can adjust them to fit appropriately. And this particular brand also offers different lengths in the pants. So for me, that is very important because I'm petite, so I need a shorter length. So they do offer this in both the men's and the women's coveralls. Now, if you're not interested in coveralls, you can always opt for outdoor pants. There's several brands. One brand in particular called Carhartts. They make a outdoor pants that are somewhat waterproof, but they're also made with a more rugged material, and they're easy to clean and wipe off, and they will protect your inner clothing. So if that's something that you're more interested in, you don't really want to try the coveralls, then I would definitely opt for that. The next is the sweatshirt. Usually I like to wear a sweatshirt either by itself if it's not too cold outside, or I'll wear it under a jacket. Now, when it comes to sweatshirts, again, my best advice is you don't want something super thick. You also don't want something super thin. You want something in the middle that's just right. I love these LL Bean sweatshirts because they are the perfect happy medium. They're thin, yet they keep me super warm. If it's above 32 degrees, all I need is this sweatshirt and maybe a hat and a scarf, and I'm good to go. If I wear a coat over this, I actually get too hot. So I highly recommend these. I also prefer a sweatshirt that does not have a hoodie. I'm not a big fan of the hoodie sweatshirt when it comes to working outside for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I never actually use the hood. It usually doesn't stay up on my head, the wind gets underneath it, and it doesn't really keep my ears or my head warm, so I never use it, and then it just hangs back there, and if you're trucking through a field or woods, it can get snagged on briars, and then hooded sweatshirts tend to be really baggy and loose, and they kind of hang, which again, that just causes for something to get snagged on. I prefer a sweatshirt without a hood, and that's why I love this particular sweatshirt. I also love this sweatshirt because it has more of a tailored look, so if I need to run to town, I can run to town in it and I don't look too sloppy. Now, if you don't want to order from LL Bean, I'm sure you could find something very similar in other stores. The next layer is the coat. You need something that you can move freely around in, but yet it's going to keep you warm. I'm not going to recommend one particular coat because I feel like everybody has their own preferences, but my advice is, again, don't pick something too thick, nothing too thin. You want something just right, and more than likely you'll be wearing this coat with a sweatshirt anyways, so you'll have that extra layer of warmth. One of the other most important elements of your cold weather clothing is your hat. It is really important that you keep your head and your ears warm. My favorite outdoor hat is the Carhartt beanie. I love this beanie because it actually covers my entire head plus my ears, and you can adjust it based on the size of your head. They give you plenty of extra fabric so that you can make it smaller or you can make it larger to fit what works for you. I've tried other beanies and they'll only cover maybe half my ear, or as I'm working outside, it'll slowly creep up. And the Carhartt hat does not do that, and it keeps my head super warm. Now, as far as keeping your neck warm, one of the things that you could wear is a turtleneck under your sweatshirt. I don't really advise wearing a scarf because if you're doing outdoor chores, the pieces that are hanging down could get caught on things, or if you're working with animals, I just don't think that's really safe. They do make infinity scarves where there's nothing hanging, so I would definitely recommend one of those. I actually have an ear warmer that I will sometimes wear as a scarf, and it's nice and snug, so it keeps my neck nice and warm, but yet it's not too snug that it's uncomfortable. The next important element to your cold weather clothing is your gloves, and you want to find a work glove that keeps your hands warm. I'm not going to recommend any specific brands because I feel like everybody needs something different in a glove, especially since we all have different sized hands. If I were to recommend one brand, I would recommend Carhartt. They make some great work gloves that also keep your hands warm. So just some things to keep in mind. You don't want super thick gloves. That'll make it really hard to do some of those outdoor chores. You want something thin yet keeps your hands warm. You want something that's waterproof and also gives you the ability to freely move your hands around. The last thing to cover in this is footwear. Footwear is another important component of cold weather clothing. So I'm going to give you some key factors to keep in mind when you're looking for outdoor footwear. Number one is comfort. It's got to be comfortable, especially if you're going to be doing hours of outdoor work and you're going to be doing a lot of standing. So make sure that you find something that is really comfortable. Number two, you want something waterproof, especially if you're going to be working in the mud and dirt, you're going to be cleaning out barns, whatever it is you're going to be doing, you need something that's waterproof, that's going to keep your feet dry. Another factor that was really important for me is I needed a boot that I could slip off without touching with my hands. I get poison ivy very easily, and we have poison ivy in different areas on our property. So if I have to truck through one of those areas in my boots, I need to be able to take my boots off without touching them. So that was kind of one of my factors that I needed in my pair of boots. That may not be a necessity for you, but if you are really sensitive to things like poison ivy, then you may want to add that to your list. And the last thing you want to consider with your boots is, are they warm? Are they going to keep your feet warm? There's a lot of waterproof boots out there that are not insulated, so they will not keep your feet warm. In particular would be rain boots. Rain boots are not insulated. Their sole purpose is to keep the water off your feet. They're more meant for spring, summer, and maybe early fall weather, but not really intended for winter. So make sure that you're choosing boots that are nice and insulated. hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it gave you some good insights on what to choose for your cold weather clothing. Be sure to head over to morningchores.com where you'll find all kinds of information on homesteading, recipes, crafts, DIY, and much, much more.